Asè Axé Ashé. It's Ashley from the Ashe Shop, and welcome to Story Time. These are my retellings and readings of various stories of the Orisha. It's my prayer that these stories uplift you when you are down, expand your perspective, and strengthen your faith. This Yemaya story right here, it just tickles me because we are used to seeing Yemaya the mother. We're used to seeing Yemaya the wife. But what about Yemaya the cougar? Of course, this love affair with her and Erinle is one for the books. And there are many books and resources where you can find this story, but my personal favorite can be found in Lukumi Yoruba People by Esther Fuente Alvarez. Let's get into this story. After Obatala, Yemaya's and Obatala's relationship is a beautiful one, and it's one that will always stand the test of time. But their relationship was also plagued with many traumatic events that usually ended with Obatala becoming very rageful and angry, and Yemaya eventually growing cold. She eventually decides to leave him and begin her own life and figure out what life is for herself, what she wants. When she separated, we saw the separation of the land and the sea. At this moment, the waves began to beat against the shores as if they wanted to swallow the land. Since then, the sea has been in eternal motion, and the waves began to manifest of kind of madness towards the land, which is why the waves never stop. It's the fury of Yemaya towards Opatala. Yamaya was very happy living in the ocean and just making her life there, taking care of her responsibilities and duties there, just managing things for herself, figuring out what she liked to do and what brought her peace and how she just really wanted to live her life. She hadn't really forgotten about her children, but her children were off doing their own things. They had their own roles in the kingdom and they had their own duties. Now it's time for her to really enjoy her life. She had matured. She was still beautiful and sensual, but she knew she looked like Oshun's mother. You ever see the mother and the daughter, you like, damn, both of them are beautiful. But she still knew, she didn't have that youth on her anymore. One morning, she's just out swimming, minding her business. She is just, living her best life, doing the things she wants to do, enjoying the life of a woman after raising her husband and her kids. And she sees this handsome man swim past her. She sees him swimming and she's like, oh, that must be Inle. And she knows Inle, but she ain't never really, you ever have somebody you seen, but you never really seen them. And they're out alone in the ocean. He's fishing, she's swimming, and she really takes a good look at Erinle. He is strong, dark, just a body that, and everything about him. She's just watching him fish and watching him work, and he's just oblivious to her watching him, and she's just, you know. And he looks up and he sees Yemaya watching him. And he look up and see a nice looking woman. Yeah, she got a little age on her, but she is aging fine like wine. She just seems to get better. Like they don't make him like that no more. His heart is skipping a beat. He doesn't recognize her, so he kind of swims over. She looks at him and says, I am Yemaya, the owner of the kingdom of the waters in which you are fishing. It is I who provide the fish that comes to your hook. Can you see it? All this is mine. And he wasn't off put by that. He starts asking her questions and she starts answering them. And he's very curious about her. And she's very excited to have someone who actually wants to listen to her, someone she can teach. They sit there and they talk all day. And when she leaves, she realized that not only did she enjoy her conversation with him, but she was kind of missing a little something. She did feel lonely. She did miss having companionship. So, of course, the next day, Arinle goes back out to fish in the same spot, and Yemaya is there waiting. They get to talking again, and Yemaya's like, well, why don't you come down into my kingdom? You have all these questions. Let me teach you a little more. Needless to say, Yemaya brought Arinle down into her kingdom and she taught him a little more. These lessons were not just in the bedroom, though. He taught her so much about life, about the creation of life, how things work and why went that way. You could say she put him on game. He was just overwhelmed with her beauty, just the vastness of her kingdom, her riches. He never knew this kind of life even existed. She was exposing him to all kind of new things. At her house, it was a beautiful setup. He loved it. It was so comfortable there. He never wanted to leave, and he didn't. Their love affair was hot and cold. It would be so hot and just loving and just amazing and fiery and sometimes she would just get so aggravated by him and he would just get so aggravated by her and she was just like, it's hard to have an intelligent conversation with you. You don't know anything. And he's like, you're always trying to teach me stuff. You're not my mother. But then they kiss and make up again. Yemaya found that after a while, she started pulling away from Erinle. But if you ask Erinle, he started pulling away from Yemaya. They both kind of started pulling away from each other. And in a way, maybe they were looking for a way out of the relationship. Because yeah, Yemaya received news that Erinle was being a little loose at the lips. And he might have been saying some things that wasn't for other people to hear that she conveyed in the privacy of her pillow. She couldn't take this. She was done. She didn't want to kill him, but she knew she couldn't trust him to just go off knowing everything that he knew about her. So that night when they were in bed and they were, laying up and everything had fallen into routine at this point, it was kind of melancholy. There was no fire, love making, and nothing. He was just laying in bed and she rolls over. She's like, I think this relationship is over. And he kind of takes a deep breath, like, oh, I was hoping you would say that. She's like, but it's one thing before you go, you got to leave something with me. And he's like, well, I'm happy we could end things amicably. I'm open to any terms and conditions you have in me leaving. She's like, you can leave, but your tongue gonna have to stay here. And he kind of look at her like, what? Before he could say, really open his mouth to say anything, she had poop, cut his tongue clean up out his mouth. She said, you could go and live and enjoy your life, baby. But one thing you not gonna do is share my secrets. I hope you enjoyed that story. That story reminds me of like how Stella got her groove back. It went a little left at the end, but overall, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for tuning in. You can find the resources used today on the book list at theasheshop.com, where you can also book a session with me and stock up on your spiritual bath and body products. Asè Axé Ashé.